Hello guys, thank you so much for being here for part 2 of the Emily Awards for 2022. So we had the face stuff last time. It was all about foundations and powders and blush and bronzer and just all the face steps. And today it's all about eyes. So of course that's going to be things like eyeshadows, eyeliners, mascaras, and all that. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I've got some great picks, some just super solid stuff. And eyes, when I think about it, like what's a can't miss thing on the face? Well, maybe, you could choose this foundation other than this foundation and be okay. Or, it won't kill the look if you grab that blush instead of that blush. But if you're not using the right eyeliners or you're using the wrong mascaras, it can make a huge difference. And not just for whether or not you like the look, but whether it lasts and whether it can perform throughout all of the things you're doing all day. So it's critical, it's crucial. You need to watch this.
I'm Belle, and I'll be announcing the winners for eyes. First up, best eyeshadow primer.
For eyeshadow primer, you guys, we could all sing it together. We could all sing it in harmony. We need to come up with actually its own probably intro song because it's just such a fixture of the Emily Awards year after year. But it's Milani eyeshadow primer. This is a fresh tube, actually. I could have squeezed a little more out of my last tube, but when I was having that weird little eye irritation thing, I let go of some products that were kind of on the cusp because I just didn't want to risk it. So anyway, fresh tube of Milani eyeshadow primer. This is a step you don't want to skip. What this does, it helps your eyeshadow adhere better, last longer, and look more vibrant as well. And I do want to show you exactly how much of this I use because I think that's a real critical point for this, because if you use way too much, you will have creasing. Between two eyes, that's about what I'm using. Okay, and here's what I do. I just rub it between my fingers, and then I'm going to spread that amount all over the lid first and foremost, and then whatever's left gets worked up through the crease and up toward the brow. It's not extremely tacky. You will find tackier primers, and you will find primers that have more coverage, meaning they blank out more discoloration on the lids. Those aren't really my prime objectives here. I want something that's going to be just tacky enough to grab eyeshadow and make it even more vibrant when I put it on the lids and help it last. And this has outperformed countless high-end eyeshadow primers. There is not a high-end favorite in this category. It is just this, the Milani eyeshadow primer. They have not changed the packaging, I don't think, at all. I feel like from the first time I tried it, it looked like this. Am I right, guys? And then it just continues to look this way. So that's fine. Love it.
Eyeshadow. Best eyeshadow.
Eyeshadow, best eyeshadow, huge category here. We've got drugstore, we've got high-end. In years past, I would split this up into eyeshadow singles and then small palettes and large palettes. I had all these different categories. And then last year, I really liked the way I changed it, where for drugstore, I just gave 2-3 picks and then 2 or 3 for high-end as well. And I'm sticking to 2 for each this time. It's just a little chance to spotlight those things that are just slaying it. So for drugstore, Wet n Wild, guys, they had so many winners in the face category, and here they are waltzing into the eye video like, hey, we make good eyeshadow too. And they've been making good eyeshadow for a long time. I really like where they're at with these color icon palettes, both the 10 pan and the 5 pan, and this is gonna still come in at just under $5. So Nude Awakening, I talked about Nude Awakening last year, I remember. I mean, I feel like it's the perfect little selection for anywhere from a smoky eye to an everyday neutral eye. The range in here is outstanding. The pigmentation is perfect. You're getting some kind of rose golds. It might look like, well, is there a little overlap in those? They are different, but I love that there's a burgundy in here. And you're also just set up to have a really light everyday eye, or you can come into all the smokiness here, and those can be liners too. So I love Nude Awakening. It's a major must-have, but this year, the vibe of this year for a lot of people's eyeshadow, it seems, is a little softer, a little less of a big deal with eyeshadow, and more of just like a naturally contoured thing. And if you're into that look, and really anybody, any beginner, any makeup user, I think could benefit from owning Walking on Eggshells. And this palette is so funny. It's been around for a long, long time. Way back at the beginning of my channel, Wet n Wild had little trios, and they've changed it. They've changed the look. It turned into a quad for a hot minute, and now we've got these 2 very, very important mattes in here with the whole look. This could be a bridal eye, or this could be the most everyday basic eye you've ever done. I love it. You will not be disappointed one bit by the pigmentation. presentation, by the quality. They're so nice. And there's a lot of other little great options in that line as well, but those are two of like the, you know, don't miss these. Don't miss these. And then my co-winner for Drugstore, which I guess I'll call it Drugstore just because I feel like this brand overall fits into that lower price range category, although this is probably one of the higher cost items in the line, and it's ColourPop's Gone Matte palette. I have sung this palette's praises several times throughout the year, and I love the way they put this one together. If you like an all matte eye, or you just want a great selection of basics, the consistent quality throughout this palette is really, really good. And let's be honest, it was kind of easy for them to be consistent with this because it's one straight finish throughout the whole thing. It's just all matte. And I love the way they laid it out. If you just look vertically, you can see how each color family really makes sense. Now, this is not to say you couldn't just bounce around the whole palette and do what you want. I love doing that. But if you're just kind of like, I want a matte gray smoky eye, I want that cool look, right over here. I did a video specifically on that. We've got a plummy row, the rosy, and basically 3 different ways to do brown: super neutral, warmer, and warmest. I think this is such a well done palette, and sometimes I feel like it's kind of gutsy for the brand to go ahead and lay it out in a straight gradient like this, because you can really tell if there was any shade overlap. You know, when they start throwing around the shades like they're confetti and you really like have to stop and look and see, are there any overlapping shades here? Here you could tell at a glance if any of these shades were like way too close to one another, and I truly feel, having this in person and using this a lot, they really all hold their own and they're all important in this palette. So the best matte wardrobe ever. Executed so well in this ColourPop Gone Matte palette. Now for high-end, 2 winners here also. Persona. This brand has impressed me so much over the past year, and I feel like it was maybe the tail end of 2021 when I started getting into it, and a lot of this stuff like isn't brand new outside of their like stick colorful blushes. Those have been released like really recently, but things like their eyeshadow palettes and eyeliners and stuff, they've been out for a while. I was late to the game getting into the Identity eyeshadow palettes. There's a 1 and a 2, and it was late 2021 and then all throughout this year that I've been loving these, and I'm giving 1 award to the Identity 1 palette. I like the 2 also. It's fun, but just this is so undeniably everyday right here, and the textures are so beautiful, and I just find myself loving every look. I'm using it today. I've got this Seductive shade right here. That's mostly the lid. Outer corner is this and this. I like that there's a little plummy route you can go. I use some Audacious, this Random Warm shade, kind of lightly dusted up above the eyeshadow, blending up out of my crease, and it's just full of great basic looks. This shade is so nice and dark, and it's just great to have that. I'm really big on palettes being balanced, meaning I don't want to just see a palette full of pastels and then you throw me out 1 deep shade to anchor it, or maybe no deep shade at all. Like, I really like depth in a palette because it helps these beautiful shimmers like these just shine and really look pronounced. I mean, look at the pigment there. This is an amazing palette, and again, it's been out a while. I was late to the game when I first got into this, but I am so glad I finally did, because these shades are just, they're so easy to work with. They're so consistent, not a dud in the whole palette, and just super everyday friendly. My other favorite, I really just haven't been able to run away from this one. Like, it's been a continual thing for me, and sometimes, you know, you forget about palettes, you set them aside, and you kind of like, oh yeah, that one. Well, this one has never had that moment for me in almost an entire year, and it's the Patrick Ta Major Dimension 2. Yes, it earned all those fingerprints all over it. I've been using it. Patrick Ta has a couple of these palettes. I never tried the first one that's more bronzy, but I definitely felt the need to jump on the more rosy one, and I love this palette. If you really have a thing for a shiny shimmer and some fun textures that look borderline like microfine sparkle, but yet they really perform and stay in place and don't fall all over your face all day, this is a great palette, all right? And you like that general, like, rosy to dusty rosy tone. It's so metallic, it's kind of hard to get you a good look at the shades, but I think you can tell we're matte on bottom, shimmer on top, and each shade is kind of like, okay, here's your deep sort of plummy shade, and here's the shimmer take on that, and here's your warmer color, and here's like a coppery gold. And you kind of see how they're sort of like friends, but one's the matte, one's the shimmer. And then we have this little window here with a couple of creams, and you can really have fun layering things up. If you put some of this dark cream like on the outer corner, start layering in those mattes. It's so much fun to set up the look with the mattes. Like, I just love the way they blend into each other. And you might be tempted to even do an all matte look. I've done that plenty of times. sometimes, but the little shimmers are fun too because they are so vibrant and then they do what they need to do. On top of Milani eyeshadow primer, they will stay. They will stay in place, assuming you don't way over apply. You know, if you just keep coating and coating and coating, too much shimmer over shimmer, it's got nothing to stick to. But if you just do the right amount, it will last. And I just think this is a gorgeous palette. Gorgeous, totally my color scheme. Super fun if you're into some real extreme shimmers and you just really like to stay in that kind of dusty rose place with things. Could I talk about eyeshadow all day? Yes, I could.
This is an eyeliner pen. Next up, best eyeliner.
I have, okay, a couple of drugstore picks because they're kind of different from one another, and I didn't really flesh this out into a ton of different categories. I just sort of wanted to talk about whatever the best eyeliners were, regardless of what format they came in. And one that I really want you to know about this year, this is so cool. This Epic Smoke Liner from NYX, specifically in the shade called Nude Haze. This is my go-to lower lash line, okay? It's on my lower lash line today. And it doesn't look like any particular color, does it? It honestly does look like a nude haze, a little neutral, wouldn't clash with anything kind of defining moment there, but it's not too harsh. It's just kind of like made the area gently dark without even looking like eyeliner. What it really looks like is eyeshadow. It looks like I took eyeshadow maybe and just very softly went down there. But here's the thing, the eyeshadow doesn't last very well, does it? We all know this. I still got like pieces of a feather boa floating around here from when Belle did her intros. The shadow does not last well. Even if you're not especially oily, it has the ability to fade. Something coming from stick helps, okay? What's funny about this is that they give you a fairly thick looking kind of diamond shaped stick there. Can you see that? It's thicker than just a small fine pointed thing. And it has this kind of look. All right, and you apply that softly and it just doesn't look too warm, not too cool. It's just kind of there. It's a great shade. And because it's that thick, I don't even need to really utilize this little smudger brush. They put a literal like teensy artiste style brush right there to where you could smudge this out and go crazy with it. But I mean, I feel like the thickness of the line doesn't even need to be touched, and then it sets and then you're not worried about it all day and it just stays. It just does the job. So I love that in that particular shade. Another drugstore option that just needs to be mentioned. In the way that Milani eyeshadow primer is important, this liquid liner is important because it doesn't move. It lasted through childbirth and well into the next day. It's the Milani 17-Hour Wear Stay Put Matte Eyeliner. This comes in a few different shades. It's going to depend on where you're shopping, but you can definitely get that black on Ulta's website. There are so many things, my friends, eye product wise, that use the buzzword waterproof, and they are simply not. This will last. Now it's old school. It's got the little inkwell design. It's got a tip there that is like a little felt tip, but an important key here is it's flexible. It may as well be a brush because it's got flexibility there right at the tip. So when you go into inner corners, when you're trying to make sure that gets right into your lash line, it's fine enough and flexible enough to take you there. So I feel the application is still very easy, even though it's not one of the newfangled pins, okay? Just trust me on this. You can cry, you can have your eyes watering, you can do whatever, you can do a wing and count on the wing to stay because this really works, and it can be removed without a big fuss also. So I love that. Stay Put Matte. I really hope Milani doesn't phase this one out. It's an important product, very important. Not the most glitzy and fun like Patrick Ta palette kind of product, but it's important. And then my high-end liner pick. I love the Persona liners. Persona nailed it with these, just like they nailed it with the Identity palette. It comes in 4 shades. There's a bronze, a plum, a brown, and a black. The black, I mean, black as night. I find myself really reaching for the brown most because I'm almost like, I'm not one to get scared of products, but sometimes I'm a little scared of how intense that black is. Persona right there, that should be your buzzword for the black. So intense, it's a little bit scary. But the brown is just like so everyday. I've got this across my upper lash line. The thing about a pencil that's kind of nice is that it defines, and it defines in a very small space, but yet for everyday looks, it's almost like it's not too stark, you know? And I'm one who doesn't really shy away from a liquid liner on any random day, but this looks so pretty, and I just love the brown, and you don't have to apply any pressure. Like I'm holding this like it's just dangling between 2 fingers, and look at the lines I'm getting. Those dark lines there. I mean, they're soft as butter, and then they last. They don't change, they don't fade. Love the plum as well. I haven't used the bronze as much, and then like I said, the black scares me just a little bit, but it's great. Trust me, it's amazing. Like, this is a line you want to look into. The actual name of the liner is 24-hour waterproof eye pencil. So waterproof, and they can say that because it is. So yeah, best pencil liners in the game, period.
Oh, sorry. I was just reading. Next up, best lash primer.
Let's talk about lash primer for a second. I feel like some people really get into this, like the white primers that you coat on your lashes, and I've tried a decent white lash primer that I got from the drugstore. It was the CoverGirl Amplify. It's in like a Lash Blast type of packaging, but it's white. That's been pretty decent. I've tried a pretty good one from Essence as well over time, but when I sit down and I think about these awards, I think you're talking about the absolute best. Whatever gets mentioned here is the absolute best. And Estee Lauder Little Black Primer. For those of us who have curl challenged lashes, for those of us who want big lashes and we just don't naturally have them, there's nothing like this. There really is nothing just like this. Call up my friend David. I'll have him linked in the description box. He is the resident Estee Lauder makeup artist at Bergdorf Goodman in New York, and he can tell you all about this. But this little black stuff here, okay, it's not gonna layer your lashes up big. You're gonna put it on and at first be like, okay, I don't really see it too much. But here's what it does. It locks you in. It locks in that curl. So you just went and clamped down with your lash curler. You're holding it there for like 30-ish seconds. You're pulsing. Things are looking good. You put this on. Okay, fabulous. I've got a little coat of something there. And then go on with your other mascaras. You'll find this holds the curl. And then, as an added benefit, you can seal them off at the end with this, and you won't have any sort of flaking. Okay, it's a little mascara sealant, and this could also be lower lash as well. So multiple functions. It's black, so it's a little bit quicker, more user-friendly. You're not thinking about, oh, I must cover up all these little white parts that I created. I'm a huge fan of this. Now, if you're a person who has naturally super thick and lush lashes, and they also just naturally hold a curl, you won't maybe find this to be as essential for you. Maybe in the sense of setting your look and not having any flaking. I mean, who can't use that? But this is mostly a game changer for people who have lashes like mine who don't like to curl. And if you don't see me using it on a regular basis in videos, obviously I can't get the true test of this mascara if I'm putting this on top and it's working its magic. You know what I'm saying? Like, for the long haul, I can continue on random days to use this and get the benefit, but like if I'm trying to gauge a mascara for you in a video, it would be cheating to use that first. So that's why it's kind of an unsung hero. You don't see it as much, but it is the best lash primer. Little Black Primer, that's what it's called.
How do you do this every day? Next category, best mascara.
Now for mascara, this one I know has won in the past and it's kind of dipped under the radar. And then it's come back this year for me, and I've realized why. It holds the curl so well. It actually does hold the curl in my lashes, and my lashes, you know, not everything works for that. I was trying a random mascara the other day. I had this little sample that Ulta sent, this Maybelline Total Temptation, and I was like, oh, this is looking good. I'm enjoying the application. And then like a couple hours later, I look in the mirror and it's like the lashes are tipping down. They're not doing anything. This can hold the curl, and that's valuable to me. I realize how valuable that is, because you can have the thickest, blackest tarantula lashes, but if they're going like this instead of like this, you won't see them. So the curl is important. So I love the L'Oreal Lash Paradise in Blackest Black. Don't get Mystic Black. I swear it's a completely different formula and it does not do the same kind of work, but you got that hourglass design there with the brush. It's not too deep of an hourglass, so you can really access the entire brush with your lash line, and it makes them thick and long and feathery, but not too weighed down. And then, like I said, holds the curl. That's important to me, and so that's why this one's coming back as a winner this year. And then for high-end, some of these I feel funny, like even saying a winner, because I know you guys know what the winner is. It's IT Cosmetics Superhero, but it is the best. Like, it's just the best mascara. It's what I'm wearing today. It takes lashes and makes them big, you know? It makes them big. It does hold curl also, which is really important to me. And the #1 magical part of this mascara is that it does it in so few strokes through the lashes. lashes. If you're a sparse lash girl, if you simply would just like more lashes going across your lash line, here's what gets you with mascara. Swiping through a million times, going through it, because eventually, even if it's a great separating mascara, you will make those lashes stick together. You will have those lashes looking like fewer, like teaming up, instead of looking like a bunch. What's great about Superhero is you can go through your lashes with a minimal amount of strokes and get a maximum result out of it. Spending less time raking through, looking like a lot of lashes and looking like fairly thick lashes, and then also holding the curl. Like, I need my mascaras to do many things well, and also not flake off later in the day. That's a biggie for this one too. So I love my Superhero. I love my Lash Paradise. The special thing about Superhero is the speed with which it can go through the lashes and build up. One other thing that really deserves a special mention this year is my Cali Ray Come Hell or High Water mascara. Now, don't get me wrong, this is good on top and bottom, but the reason why I use it on my lower lashes every single day is because it's a tubing mascara that truly no part of this smudges or smears or flakes off. So it will not move. I've got it lightly there on the lower lashes. I don't like a huge chunky lower lash, but I do want them somewhat defined. And I mean, the brush is real easy to manage. It's got like short little stubby bristles in there, but it will not smear on your lower lash line, will not move. So I love it so much for that reason, and that's why I've kind of like made that its specialty. Yes, you're the boss. You can give your mascaras a job, and this one's job is lower lash line.
Next up, Best Brow.
First off, we're going to talk about the brow fill-in products, and the next category will be brow gel. But for best brow products, I just got serious with myself and I said, you know, when you're just sitting here, Em, and you got any choice of what to put in your brows, is it the skinny pencil or is it the fuller pencil? And I've had a lot of skinny pencils on hand lately, from Brow Wiz to trying the L'Oreal and the e.l.f., and all different brands have their version of a skinny brow pencil. And if that's what you want, if you want something super skinny, I'm just here to say you can get it from basically any brand and they're all the same. They put the spoolie on the one end, the skinny pencil on the other end. Go for whatever's giving you the best shade selection that matches up with you. But I really have enjoyed this retractable brow pencil. Yeah, they were sitting around the room and they're like, what do we call this pencil? We're worn out from naming things like Mega Glow and Ultra whatever. Like, what is it? A retractable brow pencil? Just put that on the label, that's fine. It's retractable brow pencil in ash brown, and whenever I use it we say, nice ash. And it's got this little spoolie on the one end, and it's a teardrop shape. So it's a little thicker, and the reason why I like using this shape is because it just fills in the brows a little faster, and the shade is absolutely perfect. This ash brown, so perfect in the brows. It always makes quick work of the process. Why not just take less time? Same pretty much end result as I get with the finer brow pencils, but just less time taken. And it really is a decent texture. She smells a little bit like crayons, but I'm really not gonna hold it against her because I can't smell my eyebrows all day. For high end, my favorite brow thing is kind of like the exact same shape as that, just a little smaller, like just a little bit smaller teardrop shape, but still chunkier than a really fine tip brow pencil. It's from Kosas, it's called Brow Pop. It's got the spoolie on the other end, but what's magnificent about this is a square. This is a square shaped pencil, and this is what brands need to start doing. They need to do this with eyeliners, and they need to do this with the brow products. I can't explain how much more secure this is in the hand than the rolly little pencils. Like this grip here, this square shape, it ain't moving. It's just perfect. And especially if you're trying to keep it a certain direction, like, okay, there's the little fine tip of it, there's the little point of the teardrop, and I want to keep that in a certain spot. And I use this, like, it fills in so well. And it's that feeling of holding it in the hand and it doesn't move. And you guys are probably thinking, Em, that's not that big a deal, but it is. If you haven't tried it, like, you have to try it, and then you'll know. This is what any drugstore brand could do to set themselves apart from the ocean of other brow products. They need to put that little square shape on it. Oh my gosh.
Next up, Best Brow Gel.
Best brow gel. We're talking Maybelline Brow Fast Sculpt. Okay, this is the greatest brow gel, period. Hold, color, and shape of the brush. Those are the points, okay? It's gonna hold like none other. It does have a tint, so you could use this alone if you wanna do it that way, but the brush is what's most magnificent because they really thought it through here. Look at the bottom part. The bristles are really short, okay? So that's gonna be the side, the bottom part that loads up more product in your brows. The top part, the bristles are longer and they're holding less product, and that's gonna be the part that can just kind of rake through and fluff. So essentially, you've got two functions in one little brush here. The load 'em up side and the rake it through side. It's almost like having a bare spoolie in a little tube. It's crazy. It's so good for that reason. So I wear the shade medium brown in this, and one tube has lasted me a long time, but it can do that function of filling in if you want it to. It's not like a super sheer gel. There's definitely pigment in the color, but I also like just pairing this on top of any pencil I might use and getting really the best hold. So love that. I've been experimenting with lots of different brow gels and stuff this year, and this is still the standard. It really is. But I also do love for high-end here, Glossier Boy Brow. This is probably my #1 go-to pick for doing a brow with a brow mascara alone, okay? So this one's good at it, but this one just like, it kind of deposits a little more color down, and I wear it in the shade brown. We got that little brush. Benefit Gimme Brow did it first, and everybody else jumped on board, but it really gives me a nice brow with just a product like this alone. Great color match for me. It does have some hold, but maybe not as much hold as the Maybelline, so each one's kind of got their area, but I do love them both.
Last category, best false lashes.
I'm going to be putting some of these on later, I think, because it's the girls' dance Christmas show day. I want to be a little festive, and these are my favorite kind of lashes. Yes, I've got the multi-pack. It's from Kiss, which is my favorite brand of lashes because I feel they do less heavy gluing to the packaging, which the glue on the packaging, the glue that's affixing a lash to its packaging can be irritating. You've got to pick that off when you get your lashes off of the container. Gosh, there's a tip for TikTok. Sometimes I think, what do I have to offer TikTok? That's one of the things, because that can irritate your eyes, and I think a lot of people just leave it on. But anyway, Kiss does less heavy gluing than Ardell, so I like to look to this brand in general. But this style called My Lash But Better, the style is called So Real, and they are so pretty. They're pretty much symmetrical length all over, meaning there's not one side that really flares out like a cat eye. They're just long all over. And frankly, when you have a little bit of lash length and it's coming out right in here, it like makes your eye come alive. This is such a pretty lash on. It's a great special occasion lash. One set, you're gonna keep wearing that one set over and over, really. It starts forming to your eye better, and the band, they're really durable lashes, but they're not on a big, thick band. So I remember one time having a set from Huda, and I loved them, but doggone it, the band is thick, and you really do have to break them in a little while. I wouldn't say there's a real breaking in period with these, but they do get easier to put on after you've worn them a time or two, and the band is just flexible and easy. I do a little bit of trimming off of the outside, although like I said, they're pretty flexible. You could trim anywhere probably, but just so they fit my eye left to right better, I will trim off just maybe a little segment there. Like, so they're like that long instead of that long, but they are my favorite lash. I love them. When you're looking to level up your entire look, pop those on. And that, my friends, concludes the Emily Awards for eyes. I hope this gave you a ton of great product suggestions. I know there are some things that have come up year after year, and I hope that's not boring for you, but I hope instead you look at that as she's not just looking at the latest greatest stuff that came out this year, but I'm always comparing it back, you know, and seeing, is it as good as this? Is it as good as that? And some stuff is kind of like, yeah, they don't make it like they used to. Superheroes still winning. Little Black Primer's still winning. This stuff's still winning. You know, I'm just calling it like I see it, and I've tried a lot of new makeup this year. It all gets referenced back to past winners, and this is how it shakes out. So thank you guys so much for your time. I cannot wait for you to see the lips video, so please tune in for that, and catch up on the face video if you haven't watched that yet. I'll link to it below, and I will see you again very soon. I love you. Bye.